Here we are. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Unlock the Middle, Navigating Leadership, AP Roundtable number 10. We made it to number 10, Mike. How do you feel about that?
Man.
Tonight, we are talking we're talking to some outstanding APs from across the country to hear their story and learn about their experiences from the assistant principal chair. The goal is to connect assistant principals and aspiring school leaders to help them understand the role of the assistant principal, one of the probably most important roles in the school, if I may say so myself. Hey, if you're watching this live, please make sure to tell us where you're coming from, where you're checking in. Leave some comments in the section there, wherever you're watching. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on YouTube. So get engaged, interact with us. We want to hear what you're thinking and share this out with other people via social media. Quick introductions around. My name is AJ Bianco. I'm a second-year middle school assistant principal here in New Jersey. We're going to talk about our roles real quick. And for me, and I got everything under the sun. You know, we were talking about climate, culture. We're talking about discipline, taking care of the lunches, lunch duty. We're taking care of substitutes, teachers' aides, all those different things. You know, we all have the same concept of our job, but our jobs are completely different. So let me take a minute, introduce this wonderful cast of assistant principals. And I'm going to start with you, Mike Lavelle. Go ahead, take it away.
Guys, how's it doing? It's good to be back. We had, like we said, we were trying to get through the beginning of this school year, which was not easy. Maybe Patrick can tell us a little about his fall break that he's just been coming at you, because I can't wait to pitch that out there to my admin team. So, like I said, I'm Mike Lavelle. I'm the assistant principal out here in Central Massachusetts. I'm from Western Mass. This is my 11th years in AP here in the Commonwealth, 20 years in the game. Before that, I was a teacher for 8 years, social studies. So as far as, the roles are concerned, yeah, absolutely. Everything under the sun. So arrival duty, dismissal duty, lunch duty, safety, security, climate, culture, discipline, and all the communication that comes along with that. And I got a great team behind me, and I can't do it alone, but there's a lot that goes on for the AP plate, and the weight of the plate is real right now. So we're here to talk about that, and it's great to be back, seeing everybody here.
Oh, love it. Patrick, take a second, introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Patrick Gailey. Yes, I am nice and recharged. We did have a 2-week fall break. It was phenomenal. But I am in my 5th year as an assistant principal. I'm here in El Paso ISD in far west Texas. As the AP, I have everything under the sun. There's about 1,300 students at my campus and 3 APs that I share the load with. But we break it up by grade level, and it is amazing. This year has been a challenge, but I'm glad to be back in the building 110%.
Love it.
Wow. Michael,
go ahead. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I am not coming back from a 2-week vacation. So Michael Bobo, I'm from Tampa, Florida. I've been in administration for 15 years. Currently I do the curriculum role, and here in our district, we have usually 2 APs per school, and we have 1,400 students, so it is a lot. And doing the curriculum, I do more curriculum things as far as the instructional part and scheduling and all the crazy testing. But then we also have to take care of discipline. We split up the grade levels with that also. So it is a heavy lift. It's a lot, but at the same time, it's for the kids, in which I really, really love it. It's very interesting once you start doing the curriculum part, how much you can dive into the whole child, which I love it, because then you can really make sure they get what they need.
Love that, Michael. And last but not least, Samantha, introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, everybody. I am Samantha Burt. I am actually still at work. It's parent-teacher night, so don't go crazy if you hear some knocks at my door. But shout out to JT, 29 years from Garland ISD, GISD in the house. I am an assistant principal at a middle school in Garland ISD. I am at a campus of almost 1,400 students. It's a magnet school. I'm looking at my list of responsibilities to my left, and it's pretty lengthy. But just like everybody else, I have discipline. We split the grade levels, all the duties that you could ever think of. I help with AVID. I'm the AVID administrator, LPAC, TELPAS, MAP testing, grade and cycle recovery, teacher recognition, positive referrals, Viking camp, staff development, you name it, I do it. I supervise the math department and health and PE, which is new for me. It's new for me, but I'm having a blast. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. Take on those challenges, embrace that challenge, and I'm sure you'll do well in this.
Yeah. So I think if we all listed everything that we actually do throughout the day, that people would think there's like more of one of us, right? There's no way. I was joking with a colleague the other day about about a job description for an AP like on a Indeed type of site, right? And the bullet points used to be like 13, 14, which was a lot. Now it's like 28, 30 bullet points for a job description. Like, people sign up for this? Yeah, we're here. We're all here. We're all doing it. Piece of cake, right? What we want to start off with, we want to talk about is kind of the year in review, like a year rewind, this crazy year that we had. So we want to, kind of take a trip back in time, hop on this, magical mystery tour, and go back to the fall of 2020. So this is the world went sideways. Yeah, the world went sideways. We were out in March. We, had to plan all summer long, right? All that sort of deal. And then we entered into the fall of 2020. A lot of us had hybrid models and remote learning and that sort of thing. So we're going to kind of compare that year, fast forward to 1 year to the present now, and kind of compare and contrast the difference between that 2020 fall and now the fall of 2021. It's really only been 1 year, but it feels like at least a decade, right? Mm-hmm. So to my right over here, we have Patrick. Patrick, why don't you go ahead, start us off, and we'll go from there.
Well, fall of 2020 was interesting to say the least. I mean, we adopted this year-round calendar this time last year, and the district kind of toyed around with it because, the state of Texas had talked about wanting to bring students in earlier in case that, COVID was going to flare up in the fall and early winter. So we were waiting to hear back in early July of, are we coming back? Are we coming back? Are we online? And I can remember, starting the school year, we were planning for in-person or online instruction, and even to the point that we got delayed 3 times of the first day of school. So that kind of ate up our break, and then we were virtual all the way through about mid-October, and then we brought in those learning pods, which everybody loved. Those were the kids that couldn't connect online, weren't turning in assignments, weren't joining classes. And then finally, about January, we went ahead and got the green light, and we brought students back into the building. And, it was like a phase-in model of 25, 50, 75% of our students. And we never went over 50%, but, all the way up until about February, we didn't have teachers in the building. So we had those instructional pods going on. And I know that the biggest piece was teachers not feeling safe or comfortable in the building, and then having to teach students at home as well as online. And it really took we weren't dealing with a lot of discipline issues, but more of how are we going to transform learning to help and support students online who've never been online. And then the next step was transforming learning to that hybrid model where kids could choose to stay home or they were in the building. And I know a lot of times we said that you had to make a choice of, are you going to be in the building or are you going to be out of the building? And we had kids bouncing back and forth all the time. And so it was hard on the teachers. It was hard on the administration. And now going back into this school year, it's now hitting on the basics, reteaching kids how to get along with one another and how to socialize appropriately. It's funny and you can say whatever you want to say online, but when you say it into someone's face, there's an actual physical consequence that occurs immediately. And so that's what we're dealing with now with the kids back in the building.
Well said. That social distance is incredible. I can't really explain it. I had one of my teachers kind of sum it up in one kind of word. Like, she said, I had to actually tell my class that I'm a live person in front of you. I'm not at Zoom. You cannot just hit your camera button and shut me off. You have to ask me if you want to go to the bathroom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times it was just pop that camera off you know, go play with your brother, sister, go to the bathrooms. Lunch was an hour, right? That sort of thing. You had breaks like that. So that piece, I think, is definitely universal.
I can remember calling parents and saying, "Hey, Patrick's not logged into your math his math class. He's not getting the lesson." And they're like, "No, I can hear the teacher." Well, the kid's now in the other room playing video games, but he left it logged on, camera off, and the lesson's still going. It was a lot of parent phone calls of, "Hey, your kid's not logged in." I've never seen so many kids have wireless internet issues in my life.
No connection day.
The
right?
Wi-Fi was always down.
That was the new snow day up here in New England. The power went out. Forget it.
Yep.
Michael, why don't you go ahead, my friend?
It's funny because I'm a relationship building guy, and that whole e-learning thing, I just hated it. But I knew that's something that we had to go into. So when we first started in 2020, our district made the decision of making sure that it was hybrid. You know, that parents decided to do e-learning, great. We decided to come in the building, it's fine. But the first 2 weeks, because of the district versus the governor, stuff like that, because y'all know what's going on down here. Everybody knows. But all that, so the first 2 weeks, everybody was online. So it was just like the first, another like fall break, I guess, for everybody, because kids didn't get online. Some teachers were still at the beach. And some teachers honestly were even out of town still. Like they really took vacation. They did not do the first 2 weeks, which is crazy because you cannot monitor that. So as an administrator, what are you going to do? You're going to say, hey, get back home when they're, you know, in Texas or whatever. Nothing against Texas, but if they're there, what do you do? So we did, you know, virtual meetings, Zoom meetings, stuff like that, which is great. Then we started, and you had the kids coming in thinking that, oh no, it's still playtime, of course. And then the ones online, just like Patrick was saying, on and off, parents sometimes there, parents sometimes not there. And, you know, God bless them, but some parents had to work, period. So if they were working, they weren't at home monitoring their child. So that child, we had some kids that did not log in all of last year, like the whole year. And sometimes, some kind of way, the parents disappeared, the child disappeared. And even in our district, we've lost students. They were nowhere to be found, which is scary to me because that's a whole year of learning that is gone. So we had to continue to and you can't go to people's houses during COVID. Like, you know, back in the day, you go by the house, say, hey, what's going on with Mike? Now you can't go by nobody's house. You're 6 feet away. You can't do this. And then when you're in the building, those kids, I mean, you know how middle school, they still want to hug and they still want to be close and all. And you can't do that. You're like, hey, dude, stay away from me. Fist bump, what's going on? And they still feel isolated away even when they're at lunch. So for me, it was a struggle even as an administrator because I love that relationship building. But you can see the struggle with the students also. Then just like Patrick, as we go through the whole year, parents are playing the game of the jump rope game. Oh, I'm in, no, I'm out. I'm in, no, I'm out. And then sometimes as administrators, we wanted to make sure that some of the students that needed to be there were there, but they were discipline problems. So one of the things that we did, all right, you got to do e-learning, which is not the best for them. But when they came to school, no mask, playing around too much, like they were disrupting too much. So it was crazy. And to have 2 master schedules of teachers that were e-learning and then teachers that were in the building was just crazy within itself. So some teachers, to be honest, had like 40 and 50 kids in a class because they were e-learning, but half of those kids weren't showing up. So last year to me was stressful because we wanted more participation with our community, which was not happening. And that's the other part. You cannot get really involved with the community last year because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was just like going round and round. And then when I left work, I felt like I was really spinning my wheels. And I was like, okay, we got to spin our wheels again tomorrow, see what happens. Not to mention all the COVID stuff that was going on. And the thing that was funny to me, like we have a teacher or a student that tested positive, and it seemed like downtown we called them and they would come with you ever watch Monsters, Inc. when they came with all those guys coming down? That's when they all came with the sprays and all that and spraying the whole room. And then the custodians had to do the whole room. I was like, dude, where am I? So things like that would happen, which it doesn't necessarily affect learning at a particular time, but it does affect learning because the teacher has to get out of the room, you got to clean it up, and just the facilities part of it was just crazy. So yeah, 2020 was just a little difficult.
Mm-hmm. So if you could fast forward now, 2021, fall 21, 1 year later, how are they?
I take naps when I come home. So
not alone.
So 2021, we thought that it was going to be so much better, and we're going back to normal, and it's not. We're not going back to normal. We're still dealing with the same thing. I got 1,400 kids in the building, and again, they're not used to someone standing in front of them talking. They don't know how to deal with the interactions with each other. And before this, we always talked about you have to make sure that students are engaged. Now I feel like we have to entertain, like for real, like seriously, entertain our students to get them to learn. And I know that's a part of the process and we can make it fun, but like for real, right now, if you have to sit and get for one session, they're done. They're gone. You got to come in the classroom. You got to do this because they're not used to what's happening right now. I will say it's been a positive. I love the technology that we finally have brought into education, which has always been out there and we have not touched. So now we can't, it's like, now that I know this, I can't go back. And there's a lot of teachers that want to go back and not touch it. And I'm like, no, this is great. You know how phenomenal it is if a student even goes on a vacation, they can still be involved in schooling and know what's going on and still not have to catch up when they come back. We still have the opportunity to virtually learn, and you can still stay in touch with those kids while they're going if you decide to as a teacher. So 2021 has been difficult because the COVID stuff continues to change on a daily basis sometimes. And with my state, sometimes it changes on a weekly basis. So we sometimes are doing this, sometimes are not. Mandates are there, mandates not. Then you have parents that are just, they're one side or the other. And one thing I didn't mention, which we all know, which is the elephant in the room, all the, the equity and diversity and all the stuff that we've gone through from 2020 to 2021 that our students are seeing and feeling. And sometimes we don't talk about it because, oh no, that's taboo. But we have to say something. We have to talk about it so they know that it's real because it's in their neighborhood. Or they even see it on TV. You can't just sit back and say, no, that's not happening. So 2021 to me, like I said, I take more naps now than I did last year because it's more stressful. It's more on us. And when AJ said he took a break, dude, that's how I felt. I just kept telling my wife, hey, we got to go somewhere. I don't care where we go. We got to go somewhere. So we spent some time in Orlando because I just had to get away. So this, I me personally feel like this year has been more weighted and more stressed than it was last year.
Mm-hmm. Well said, really well said, and a huge fan of the restorative nap myself because that is key. It is key. Let me tell you, it's called the restorative nap for a reason. You got it's like 20 minutes or less, you're gonna get a mental benefit. 20 minutes or more, mental and physical, but you're gonna feel tired. Operate. It's okay. It helps you operate more.
Yes,
Samantha, 2020 and 2021.
Listen. I wrote stuff out, but I'm just gonna go for it. So I saw this tweet, it may have been a tweet or a Facebook post or something that said the last time kids were in school, it was a chart and it said last time these kids had a normal school year.
Yeah.
And it was basically 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So when you're thinking about the learning loss, plus you're saying 2 years ago was the last normal time these kids had in school. And then you think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with that? So I just compared my two things from year to year. So in 2020, it was just teachers in the building. I think Patrick and I might share, similar leadership transition from his district to mine, and so we have that year-round calendar. We also had a 2-week fall break. 1 week was intercession. Anyway, so in 2020, teachers only. It was quiet. and when students did get a chance to come back, we had no more than 500. We used to count every day. We used to send a text every lunch and say how many kids were in attendance. There was never more than 550 students in our building, in a building that normally holds, in 2019, we had 1,400 students, like legit 1,400 students on the enrollment. So you're talking about going from a hall full of, laughter and enjoyment and play and getting to class and all this stuff to 550 kids, and the lunches seem like, it's literally a small group. What are we gonna do here? Everything virtual. And I put a percentage on it. I said 2020, it felt like it was, or 2020 and before. So let's say that 80% instruction, 20% support is the numbers that I put on it, because you were still able to focus on support, but it was different because it was virtually. So you're trying to help your teachers transition in 2020 to how to do both things at one time, which was a huge struggle. And I can only speak for my building and my district, but it was a huge struggle for them to do both. It was exhausting. Even when I covered classes, I was saying to myself, like, listen, I thought I was, I'm the bomb.com. I can do anything. But when I'm covering this class and I'm dealing with these kids here and these kids here, it's a different type of ball game. I would say now, 2021, those numbers to me look more like, well, I'll say my list first. So we got full school. We came back full throttle. Masks, mandates, full throttle. All sporting events, all celebrations, like everything was all of a sudden game on again. And then, but that everything took a shift. And so my percentages say 60% support, 40% instruction. I spend most of my time supporting my teachers and making sure, I'm talking some people off the ledge. I'm gonna just keep it all the way, transparent. Talking some people off the ledge is and making them rethink. You can really do this. Like, you were already doing this. It just looks a little bit different now. It's not the same year. 2021, we're not back to normal. We're back, we're to different. We're not back to normal. And so just making sure that that support is there. I've had to come up with jump through a lot of hoops to make sure I keep myself, sane, while trying to take on such heavy burdens from teachers as they support our students, because we just have to. We need it. We have to.
And that's a really good point about how our roles have changed, right? Oh, yeah. You put percentages on it, and I think they're right on the money, first of all, definitely, because I see it in my building too. The support of the teachers and the staff, it's straight. I'll walk into a common planning time. We have CPT. I'll walk into a common planning time just to catch up with some folks, and it is heavy. They're all at me like, what are we going to do about this kid? I'm like, whoa,
for sure.
Let's get ourselves together. You guys got this. And I knew back in, September, a month and a half ago, that the whole kind of we're in this together thing was not going to sustain us for 180 days. That was not going to happen. Like, come on. Yeah. So my principal said, look, we got to be as real and transparent, bringing our own authentic selves to this gig. Like, look, we're not looking for some watermelon sugar high positivity. It doesn't work, especially when it's not all good. It's okay to be realistic, but what we are looking for, let's trade this, a lot of the buzzwords, toxic positivity, right? But I don't say let's trade that in for at least optimism. It will be okay. It might not be that way now. We need some time. So let's be optimistic about the rest of this school year. And as far as pace is concerned, forward is a pace. We're moving forward through the school year. We're doing this. We got each other's back. We're going to try to do it the best we can. But, let's be realistic too. Some days are really, really hard, and some days are hard for me too. So let's just kind of, find the delights in the day, find the things that make you happy and get you through, and move on from there, and take that nap at the end of the day. You better believe it. AJ, tell us what's going down in New Jersey, man. What's happening over there?
I got to be honest. Like, this is a whole new animal for me. I talk about year 2 as an assistant principal, but this feels like year 1 for me. Like when I think about last year, I came into a building with no students and hardly any teachers. Teachers had the option to work from home last year if they wanted to. So I'm stepping in my first time in October. There's no students in the building. There's like 3 teachers, and I'm just trying to introduce myself via Zoom, via Google Meet, sending emails. Like, who is this guy? So from October until the middle of November, I'm meeting people virtually. I have not met a student. I haven't done anything like that. Students come in November for 3 weeks. And then because of the region where we were asked to go remote again. So from the end of November after Thanksgiving, we did not step foot in the building. Well, I should say the teachers and students did not step foot in the building until the end of January. So I was starting just myself, the principal, and a couple of teachers here and there. That was so hard for me to finally meet students when they came back in January, and they only came for half days on a rotating basis. I couldn't remember kids' names. I couldn't remember faces. I didn't know what was going on. I was just maintaining myself and just trying to get through a building and, meet as many people as I can and introduce myself to as many people as I can. Observations were done virtually. Like, it was just nutty for me, I made it through the year, luckily, and I'm back and I love it. But this year is definitely harder for me because this is everything that I would have done year one, but I never had the opportunity to do it. And I'm shot. Like, I'm tired. I text Mike. We were supposed to do this a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I just can't. Like, I can't function outside of school. I come home, I sit on the couch, I play with the kids, and I'm done. Let me put a baseball game on and I'll fall asleep on the couch. This year though, like, dealing with discipline, looking at the kids, it's not even like ridiculous discipline. It's like silly things that kids just forget how to be in school. Like, it's a lack of maturity. It's a lack of dealing socially and emotionally with their peers. Like, I got a lot of kids who can't keep their hands off each other. I'm not sure they're trying to be violent or if they're just trying to, like, make a friend and they can't remember how to make a friend.
Yeah.
I got lunch duty, which I love, which is a pain because it's in the middle of the day, every day, 2 hours in lunch duty. But I have 600 plus kids in my school. I get to talk to 600 plus kids in my school every single day. And that's what makes it worth it. But it's tiring, and Mike, you've mentioned this a couple episodes ago, looking at your watch at the end of the day, and you've got 12,000, 13,000, 14,000 steps on your watch that you know what you were doing that day. Right? So when, like, I go home, my wife's like, how was your day? I'm like, hold on. Yep. I was busy. I was going this way and that way. But I got to be honest, when I think about the year right now, I'm thinking about our staff because it's so hard for our staff. We have state testing. We have social emotional learning that's being put in place. We have so many different things we're trying to do. Trying to support them is probably the hardest job that I have right now because we want them to feel respected. We want them to understand we know where they're coming from. But we also have to keep in mind, like, for us as leaders, and I'm going to be selfish here, we have been going straight through with barely any vacation, barely any break since, what do you want to say, March 2020, right? There's been like no time off. So we're all feeling it. Our teachers are feeling it because this is a new normal. They got to get back to teaching full days. They got to get back teaching with kids in front of them. So we're all kind of going uphill. As I'm looking at these comments from our viewers here, appreciate your comments. But we have Roz saying, not back to normal, back to different. JT is saying we are back to a new profession, which good and bad. This is really going to revolutionize teaching and learning. And what we do with this now going forward, I think is going to really make or break what schools look like in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, definitely 100%. Like, what are we gonna leave behind that we're never going back to? What are we gonna keep from the pandemic? I think, Michael had said something, and all of us are kind of hitting on it. Yeah, some of these Zoom meetings and things, kids found a different way to learn, and some of them loved it and thrived at it. And it's been going on in colleges forever, like distance learning, right? You can take classes in Singapore right now. This is good news. We can use this. We can still do this. In my state, it's like, the commissioner of education is like, nope, no more remote learning. Everybody back to business. But come on, let's be honest. Like, so that worked for some kids. They were into it. They did well. They showed up to every Zoom. They did all that, as admin, right? We're like, whoa, We got to catch the kids that aren't hopping on and doing all that, but that worked for some people. So in my building last fall, 2020, the summer felt like it never ended. We met every single Tuesday as an admin, 24 of us, ready to rock and roll and figure this world out that's never been figured out before. And God bless their retirees and everybody who has been in our profession before us. We would not be here. That they do a fantastic job. They never did something like that. They never planned for something like that, right? So it felt like so much planning, and we were ready for like Battlestar Galactica to come at us, right? And when they all came in, it was, so my building, like 420 kids roughly, we had the cohort model, right? So we had half the kid, cohort A, cohort B. We went one whole week, Monday through Thursday, and a Friday remote day for everybody. So about 150, we had 100 kids remote. We took all this information in, and in Europe, they were going through it before us. So this was the best model for childcare and all this. It worked. We stayed in the whole entire time. We never had to go back to fully remote. A lot of the surrounding schools in our district did that kind of like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday kind of remote day, Thursday, Friday deal. And everyone who did that ended up going back to remote. So we felt kind of proud that we had that together. So picture about 150 students, 4-day week with a remote week. And then the cohort B would come in. So I had about 150 students in my class, 11 to 12 kids in a class, 6 feet apart. That's a dream.
Yep.
Teacher's dream. And we talked about it. We talked about it, how important those relationships were, how much more you could do with your kids. And they're just, my staff, my faculty is amazing. And I don't just say that as a token. They decided that they were going to keep that live stream on for their kids at home. They only had to like check in, with the agreement that we had with the union. They had to check in a couple of times, take attendance and do that. They said, nope, we're going to leave them on the whole time. And they had everybody there. So we had the cohort A, cohort B, about 100 remote students, 150 each time, 11 to 12 kids per class. We have bathroom monitors. We call them health and safety monitors. Oh, come on, that little gem that Twitter threw us, the Vicious Licks Challenge. Yeah, thanks a lot. Seriously, I think that I got the thing on my phone. It's like, I don't know, trash the bathroom September or something like that. Come on, man. Like I'm missing my monitors, just saying. Last month was tough to get through.
That's the truth.
We even had that, right? So, and now you fast forward to 2021, right? The summer goes through. Oh, we're going to be back to normal. This is going to be awesome. We're going to have everything back together. And yeah, man, I'm really excited, still am, to see what these kids are going to do, where we're going to be. Where we're at now, I feel, is twice as hard as what we stepped into last year, because we have, and Samantha hit the nail on the head. I saw the same visual that you saw, and it was like, so my building's 5th to 7th grade. 5th graders, the last time they had a normal full school year, they were in 2nd grade. Their 3rd grade year, we got kicked out in March, and their 4th grade year, they went all remote. So in my district, they're in a different building, and they came back to 25 kids in a class, a live teacher, and that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing right now. So in the afternoons, it's getting better. We're getting the kids to kind of come together and learn how to interact with one another again. I'm doing a lot of the restorative chats, restorative practice stuff. How did that make the other people feel? That empathy step type of thing. Teachers, our support for our teachers, just like a lot of comments from our viewers are saying, that is our number one job. I feel it's most important. What do you need with this kid? I'm trying to tell them, okay, give them the 3 warnings, use our behavior protocol, preserve and protect your learning environment. If they're disturbing that learning environment, you got to give them a shot to turn it around. But after that, send them down to me. And so now we got about all 400 students back in building, 400 plus, we're about 426. Live interactions with not only their teacher, but their peers. Like we said before, we can't turn the camera off and hop to the bathroom, right? It's not that way. Masks are still in play, and 3 feet apart is still in play when we can. There's some sort of magic air on the bus, though. There's some magic air on the school bus. 2-3 kids to a seat, get them to school. In one of the districts out here in Western Mass, they got National Guard. They're bringing them in to drive the bus because they don't have enough staff. And I think that's another universal thing, right? Really similar challenges with staffing for all of us, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
You got 17 to 22 students per class, 25-minute lunch, like when they had a whole lot of time before. and they need bathroom permission, right? Like that. I have some of my fifth graders just walking out, just going right out. Like, okay, see you later. I gotta go. I was dying when I got that call. Even the teachers were cracking up. Like, I don't know, he just left. I'm like, okay, set them down. We'll have a conversation. So we're laughing about it. We're making it light, and we have to. That's our therapy, right? We're all in the same boat. We have to
That's
do
true.
it. And I replace, the sugar high positivity. This is not going to be the best that we can all the time. It's not going to be like that. Realistically optimistic about the rest of this school year. Our musical is coming up. Our sports kids are starting to find their lane. They're in school. They go to practice. They got their games. We're getting there. We're gonna be all right. But this is going to take some time. So when my fifth graders are socially third graders, behavior only changes over time. It's not controllable. Anybody tells you that they can control the words that are coming out of a kid's mouth, you let me know. I'll wave that magic wand and we'll all do it. And we'll stop all the behavior problems from ever going up. Changeable over time, not controllable. And I think that's what we're all dealing with. And it's really refreshing to hear from around the country that we're all kind of feeling and seeing and doing the same things. And, not only stay in the course, but like I said before, as far as pace is concerned, Ford is a pace. Ford is progress. And we're moving forward this year. Our kids are going to get there. They need some time. And our teachers are so important. They got to take care of themselves too. And that, I know we talked about that on some episodes. What do you do for the self-care? I don't know how long we got, AJ, but the self-care is important. I do the Calm app 4 times a week. Got to hit the gym, get that out. Like, whatever it is you do, it's important. If you guys want to share that out, that'd be great.
Can I say something real quick, Mike? Because y'all kept on hit on a couple of things. And the one thing y'all said is about the kids from 5th grade. They really haven't seen a normal year. Mm-hmm. I have a couple of teachers that are brand new, and they have never ever seen a regular year. So no matter how much you talk about it, they have no clue what it even looks like. So we have a lot of, in our district, teachers are saying, hey, deuces, I can't do this because this is crazy. So I totally agree with taking care of your teachers and making sure they know, and that self-care, because if we don't do it ourselves, we can't tell somebody else to do it. So we got to take care of ourselves. One of
the best ways too, like we do that at work. We just had it, the Columbus Day weekend. We made one of our professional development days the Friday before. So Friday, no kids, all about you, professional development content area, and the long weekend for you. I think our teachers came back just appreciative of the fact that time was built in for them by the district and giving everybody the nod. Like, listen, we're going to come around and check as admin and check in with you guys. But if you're there, just, talking with each other about life, that's okay too. We got to meet people where they're at. And that includes the adults.
Yep. So we're at about 35 minutes plus. So I'm going to ask one question. I know Mike wants to talk about self-care. So if you want to add this to your answer, I guess for me, for all of you, what's something that makes the year successful for you? Like looking back at this coming year compared to what it was last year, what is your success? What is it? Self-care? Is it getting into classrooms? Like, I don't even know if that's a part of like our success rate this year. So I'm very curious. What is success for you? How do you measure that this year? And Patrick, I'm going to start with you.
So success for me is relationships. It's important and crucial for me to have strong relationships, not only with my staff, but also my kids. My first year as an assistant principal, I promised myself that I would always meet with the kids as they were failing, because in middle school, we see a lot of kids that continuously fail, especially when they go from 5th grade to 6th grade. Something happens where they just go bonkers and they can't turn assignments in. They can't remember due dates. So failure rates in 6th grade are extremely astronomical. And so it's something that I've always done as an assistant principal, is meeting with my kids that are failing. And something that I've added with COVID is meeting with the other students. And, it's a little bit harder popping into Zoom classrooms, but now that we're back in the building 100%, it's nice being able to talk to those kids and talking to the teachers to make sure that they're okay. One thing that I often like to brag about it is because I've seen it successfully. You know, in our district, our failure rate sits about 22% for our middle school capacity. My individual caseload always hovers around 3.5% because I work with them. I meet with them every 3 weeks. And I don't make excuses for the kids to go to the teachers and tell them, oh, you know what, he wasn't understanding it. Can he get a redo? It's you go to tutoring, you get a tutoring schedule. And I feel like it helps with the teachers as well, because they feel supported knowing that you're not making an excuse for the student, but you're also there to help them and support them. And you know, everything in Texas builds on each other, especially in math, where if they're weak in 6th grade math, they're never going to be successful in Algebra 1. So it's just building those relationships and having that time with the kids to help and support the teachers. That is who I am, and that's what I do 110%.
Love that. Yeah, without a doubt.
I like that. Michael, what's success look like for you going into the 21-22 school year?
I started writing down stuff because I saw something in the chat and thought about what I do. I think success, first of all, is the self-care. And I think as JT put, self-care is listening to others going through this via podcast. And I think that's one thing, like Mike said, talking about it, laughing about it, getting it out, and knowing that I'm not the only one that has to go in the bathroom and see that a TikTok challenge has been like successfully uploaded and all that kind of stuff. So talking to each other, your colleagues, and knowing that you're not the only one going through it. So in that vein, because I've been in administration for so long and I know how hard this work is, I started in our district for middle school APs, APC kind of PLC time, where it's not with no district people, it's just with us just to talk. And a lot of new APCs who do curriculum don't know what's happening, when it's happening, whatever. But then we just start talking just like we're talking here and just get it out. And it's only like an hour, be done. So then I'm able to, not only me, but we're all able to help each other and support each other. So the other success I looked at was just the community, just like Patrick was talking about first with the teachers, making sure I go and make sure that they're all right. And it's not just going around saying, hey, do you need some candy, but supporting them with the students. But also, I mean, it's lovely when you feed them, they feel good for a couple of days, but then, you know, after that, it wears off. So what else can I do? And it's amazing what you can do by just saying good morning and going down the hallway before students get to class. Good morning, how you doing? And sometimes you'll get a lot of stuff that you didn't even ask for, but you know what? It's okay. And sometimes you have to be, I'm gonna say this and I hope I don't offend anybody, but sometimes you have to be the pastor to go around and kind of talk and then listen and say, you know what, we're gonna make this together, but then show them how you're gonna help support them, not only that day, but for the rest of it. And sometimes we've even said, all right, you're not ready for today, go home, we'll take care of your class. And it's okay. It is okay. So taking care of the teachers, taking care of the students as we always do. And I'm like, AJ, oh my gosh, lunch duty, don't touch my lunch duty. That's my time to go around, joke with the kids, laugh about them. And then you find out everything that's going on in the school, who's going out with who, who's not going out with who, who's friends, who's not friends. Dude, it's the best time ever. But lastly, success would be making sure that our parents feel comfortable with their kid just being back in school. The reality is, and one thing we haven't touched on, is parents were not comfortable sending their student back to school, like their child, period. So with our district, this year is strictly face-to-face, but we have Hillsborough Virtual School, which is a part of our district that parents can go to and decide to do that, which is fine. We still get the funding, all that kind of jazz. Okay, great. But most of the parents want their child there, and the child wants to be with their friends, but they don't feel comfortable because somebody's getting COVID, then they got to quarantine. So then they're out for 7 to 10 days and I got to take off work and all that. So I want those parents, while they're there, even though the world is changing as far as COVID, we're not changing. We're taking care of your child. Whenever I have to tell you whatever, I want you to know that we're going to still take care of them. Yeah, they got 20 referrals, but guess what? We're going to make sure they're successful. Yeah, I know they're not doing well right now and they all of a sudden stop doing work and become a middle schooler, but we're going to stay with them. Because if you know you as well as I know, if those parents are with you in that school, you have no worries whatsoever. because their word goes further than any advertisement, any Twitter, whatever, saying, oh no, I want to send my child to Barrington because I know they take care of my child. So if I can make it like to May 31st or whatever the last day of school is, and it seems so far away, if I can make it to there and all our stakeholders are taken care of, I know that I've been successful.
I'll say.
Well said. Well said. And last but not least, Samantha, what's success look like for you this year?
A couple things. I read an article earlier today, and I circled it at the top of my paper. And it says small moves can equal larger outcomes. That's when you're doing a good job because you're giving, bite-sized pieces of feedback or whatever it is to make something happen. I would say here, our theme this year on our campus is "We got this" #perseverance, right? And I really am trying to be intentional and pride myself on the fact that I can help a teacher. I mean, because the kids, they know me. The person, when I'm in the hallway, people know who Miss Bird is. Trust me, that all 1,400 kids, they know, okay? And I don't have to say anything, but they know. But I can touch a teacher, quicker than I can kids, just based on how things are set up. And I feel like, this is just my personal opinion, if I can help the teacher, then I'm helping the student. Because if the teacher is not all here, that class is going to be a mess, and we're going to be in a bigger pickle than we already are. So I pride myself on, like I said, that 60-40, that support part flipped. I really am intentional, and not just my department. I mean, just a small example is, even if I send out an action item for grades, then at the end of every email, and it's not a I got you thing, but it is kind of like, I see if you read my email or not, but it's up to me to make the prompt entertaining. So today I sent out an email in my grades and teaching, and how has that changed from then to now. So I'm getting to know these teachers that are not in my department. They're replying to me directly, not reply all. That was very clear in the email. I'm also the only female AP on my staff, so they tend to expect that from me. I don't know why I just did air quotes, but whatever. They tend to expect, me to be the more compassionate one, but that is literally that's how I lead. I lead. I need to be connected to people. So the pandemic was hard for me, because I'm a people person. I need to talk. I like to hug people. So that was really difficult for me, not to be fist bumping people. What is that? But I really am. Success looks like, to me, bite-sized action items, or bite-sized feedback, or bite-sized positivity, bite-sized compliments, things that teachers can take and process and turn into an action. And then they come back to me, and when they can say, man, I appreciate you talking to me and talking me off the ledge, or giving me that tidbit because it really helped me do X, Y, Z. That's success to me. And especially when it's just not the people in my department. So, my team, my immediate team that I supervise, and I just want to make a difference. That's it. Success like that looks like, if I'm the first person you think about, if somebody asks you about a principal that made a difference to you, or not to, shade any of my colleagues, but if I'm your first thought, I mean, that means something to me, because I take the time to have conversations with people. I'm the most thorough person you'll ever meet, with a lot of things. So with everything, I don't give up. And that's probably to my detriment sometimes, because I get focused on it and I'm gonna follow it all the way through. But I want the teachers to feel like they're getting that support from me, even if they're not my, team member. So that's success to me.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. Samantha, Michael, Patrick, you guys, awesome tonight. Great work. I appreciate the review of last year and looking at this year. We're all going through so many different circumstances and situations that hearing out what other people are feeling, and kind of good that we're all going through the same thing. We can all shut down, take our naps, and regroup and become stronger. It's good to see. So appreciate all of you jumping in tonight. I'll let you guys real quick. Let's go one more time around. Patrick, I'm going to start with you. Let everybody know where they can find you on social media and all those handles and all that.
You can find me on Twitter at PJGailey215 and then also Facebook and Instagram as Patrick Gailey in El Paso, Texas.
Awesome. Michael, go ahead.
You can find me at Cash App. No, I'm joking. So you can find me on Twitter at Michael Bobo74. I kind of stay away from the other stuff because I don't need my mind boggled up in it. Twitter is the best way for me to communicate. Just for me, social media.
Good for you. Awesome. Samantha, last but not least, go ahead.
Yeah, same for me. You can reach me at SZ Burt, BURT. And you can also follow my campus at JTC Vikings. Follow us on Twitter.
There you go.
We got this.
AP Mike, go ahead. Tell me where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm at AP Mike Lavelle on Twitter, and I'm at Mike Lavelle on LinkedIn. And like I like those two lanes myself. Kind of like Michael, don't like to, mess my head up with all that other stuff. So those are the two spots to make it work.
Yeah, I got to admit, I got to be more like Michael, and you can find me everywhere, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, AJ Bianco at AJ Bianco. You can check me, Mike, and Ryan Scott out here when we do this. We'll be back to doing this every other week. We love doing this. We're so glad. If you are out there as an AP aspiring leader, you want to connect, you want to get on here, reach out, DM me, and we'll find some time to get on there. And of course, you can always find me on my own podcast, Reflect Ed and Podcast PD. So I'm everywhere. I promote these people as best I can because I love their message. I love their ideas. And thank you to Unlock the Middle, Dean and Chris. Miss you guys. Appreciate giving us the reins here. And our guy, JT, Josh Tovar, as always, thank you for your support. All right. That's it. I'm going to end the broadcast. If you guys hang around for a second, everybody else out there, thanks so much. Speak to you soon.
See you guys.